back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Holy flying flipping flapjacks, full time family. What the fuck is going on here? You can't make this up. First of all, let me close this door because there's some grade A ratchetness going on outside that I don't want to come in on this webcam. Y'all hear me loud and clear? Yeah, y'all hear me, huh? Yeah, found out how to turn that joint up. Hey, that's dope. Build on small wins. But let's get into this foolery right here. Is Cris Cyborg running from Amanda Nunes, the Lioness? I know that sounds crazy. Cris Cyborg running from any female on the planet, right? Check this shit out. And Cyborg's giving her reasons for what's going on, and I'm gonna get into it. But at the same time, whenever Tyron Woodley said, "No, I don't want to fight this person for this reason," or "I don't want to fight this person for this reason," I mean, that's, you know, what people come under the assumption of, like, yo, are you ducking this person? And you guys know me, I don't think they're scared of a fighter per se, but are they ducking? That could very well be the case, because check this out. Amanda Nunes has doubled down, as we know, on wanting to fight Cris Cyborg. Who the fuck signs up to fight Cris Cyborg? Amanda Nunes said, yo, I want to fight Cris Cyborg. Actually, what she said first was, I want to fight the winner of Cyborg Home. And a lot of people expected Cyborg to win that fight. So we were like, yo, I hope she keeps that same energy if Cyborg wins. Cris Cyborg gets the W, retains her title, and Amanda Nunes doubles down like, yeah, I still want to fight Cris Cyborg. I want to go up, fight for Cris Cyborg's title. I respect her. Nothing against Cris Cyborg. I want to challenge myself and fight for the 145-pound title still. It wasn't just no Holly Holm thing. Fuck you, time that. Dana White even came out and said, yo, Amanda Nunes wants to fight Cris Cyborg next. That's the fight we're going to make. That's the fight that needs to happen. Lo and behold, the only person that doesn't want this fight, Cris Cyborg. Even Megan Anderson, the legit 145-pounder that, you know, Cris Cyborg is wanting to fight, who did accept the fight. Now, Megan Anderson did play a little part in this, because before the fight, she was, or right after the Holly Holm Cris Cyborg fight, Megan Anderson took to Twitter and said, now there's only one fight to make versus a legit 145-pounder. She was talking about herself. Cris Cyborg went to social media and accepted that fight and said, hey, I accepted the fight versus Megan Anderson in her hometown. Well, then Megan Anderson was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Nah, I mean, I'm not ready to fight yet. You know, not yet. Cris, come on, not yet. So now, fucking Amanda Nunes is still at Cris Cyborg's neck. Like, yo, I still want the fight. I'm right here. Come fight me. I don't know about all this legit featherweight talk. I'm still right here. Cris Cyborg is double, and Cris Cyborg gave Amanda Nunes an out. She's like, no, I respect her. You know, I want to fight a legit 145-pounder, just not Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes fucking came out again. She still wants to fight. So now Cris Cyborg releases this statement. Boom. Let me pull the statement up for y'all, because this shit is crazy. She's rejecting the fight, pulling a Demetrius Johnson. Cris Cyborg is up a weight class, pulling a DJ, talking about Amanda Nunes has to prove herself at 145 pounds. You remember when Demetrius Johnson said TJ Dillashaw should have to fight a top contender before he fights for the 125-pound title? That's what Cris Cyborg's saying. Yo, check this fucking statement out, yo. This is what Cris Cyborg had to say, and she released an entire statement on why she doesn't. Check this out. Instead of offering a fight to the next featherweight contender available, Holly Holm was given the bout despite going 1-3 over the past 4 fights. The matchup proved popular with the fans, and our styles eventually made for fight of the night. However, Holm was given a title shot over girls who had been fighting at 145 pounds and winning because she was more popular, and not because she was the next contender in line. I gotta stop right there and address that. Who in the UFC has been fighting at 145 pounds and winning? Please. Please. The only person she can point to is maybe Megan Anderson, who still has never fought in the UFC and who has said she doesn't want this fight right now. Who else? There's no 145-pound division. Go to UFC.com today. Go to the UFC rankings right now. They're going to have Cris Cyborg champion, maybe Holly Holm #1, and nobody else. Megan Anderson's name isn't even on the list because she's never fought in the UFC yet. Maybe Cris Cyborg's talking about the girls in Invicta. Invicta has a 145-pound division. but they're not in the UFC yet. So until the UFC actually gets a 145-pound division, what she's saying right here is Holly Holm was given a title shot over girls who had been fighting at 145 pounds and winning because she was more popular. It's not because she was more popular, even though a lot of people believe that. It's because she's in the UFC. You know, out of the girls, Holly Holm and who has fought in the UFC at 145 pounds, Holly Holmes fought for the title. She fought Germaine de Randamie for the inaugural 145-pound title. Germaine de Randamie didn't want to fight Cyborg. Boom, stripped. Cyborg fought a bantamweight for the title, Tanya Evinger. Then Holly Holm, who has fought for one of the only 3 girls in the UFC that's ever fought at 145 pounds, is Holly Holm. The other one didn't want to fight Cris Cyborg. So I hear what you're saying and all, Cris Cyborg, and I'm gonna let you finish. And I'm about to read the rest, but Holly Holm is one of the only 145-pound chicks in the UFC. And as far as the other chicks Cris Cyborg's been fighting, who like the Leslie Smith, the Tanya Evingers, all of these chicks were bantamweight contenders. And you know what I'm saying? Amanda Nunes is the bantamweight champion. Amanda Nunes is legitimately going to be the baddest chick Cris Cyborg has ever fought. And before then, it was Holly Holm. Holly Holm, but tell me this, Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm tomorrow. Who wins? Amanda Nunes. So that's what I'm saying. Amanda Nunes will be the best fighter and a legit UFC champion, and she wants the fight. Now, one thing is, it is a win-win for Amanda Nunes, but still, Amanda Nunes is fucking game, and she's the best opponent Cris Cyborg's ever fought, so let's get it going. But let's continue with Cris Cyborg's statement. She said, having reestablished myself as the world champion at 145 pounds, speaking of world champion, what up, Amanda Nunes? Having reestablished myself as the world champion at 145 pounds, I feel it is my obligation to fight the #1 contender at 145 pounds in my next fight. Well, who's that? Holly Holm? Because there isn't one of those. Maybe she's talking about Megan Anderson. She hasn't fought in the UFC. She doesn't want to fight now, so maybe Cris Cyborg's willing to wait. But either way, that's pretty interesting. Cris Cyborg accepted a fight for UFC 221, which means she would be ready to fight ASAP. But now she might be having to wait on Megan Anderson, and we don't even know what Megan Anderson's issues, why she's out. We don't know if it's visa. We don't know if it's personal. We have no clue what's going on with Megan Anderson as of right now. But it doesn't look like visa issues because Cris Cyborg accepted the fight in Megan Anderson's hometown, Australia, and she still wasn't ready for the fight. So I don't know how long Cris Cyborg is wanting to wait, but it's looking like Cris Cyborg is saying Megan Anderson or nobody because she says the #1 contender at 145 pounds, and there's not a division. To our knowledge, the only 145-pounder the UFC has signed is Megan Anderson when you're not talking about Holly Holm. So how is another champion not worthy? This is a champion versus champion super fight. It's not about the #1 contender. I'm sure Demetrius Johnson would love to fight the next #1 contender too, but it's time to fight TJ Dillashaw. That's what we all want to see. And I see what Cris Cyborg is saying, and it is a little different than the Demetrius Johnson situation, but it's a fucking champion coming up. This isn't just some 135-pound ringer or contender or popular person. This is the champion coming up. So all I'm saying, I understand where you're coming from, wanting to fight the 145-pound contender, a legit 145-pounder. All I'm saying is that might have to wait one more fight. And in the meantime, guess what you get? To fight the bantamweight champion. You get to prove none of these bantamweights are messing with me. Let's shut all this shit down right now. Look, after I beat Amanda Nunes, no more bantamweights. Legit featherweights or better. That's what it is. The only legit featherweight in the UFC, Megan Anderson's not ready. Guess who is? The champion wants to fight. It's going to give you money. It's going to give you its popularity. I mean, even if Amanda Nunes isn't as big as Ronda Rousey, she is a UFC champion and she has beat Ronda Rousey. She's, just dominating. She just beat Valentina Shevchenko. Amanda Nunes versus Cris Cyborg would be a fucking super fight. So I just need an excuse better than I want to fight a legit 145er this time. It's like, just give me one more fight versus a bantamweight, and this is going to prove there's no bantamweights on the planet that can touch you. But now Cris Cyborg is campaigning to not fight this bantamweight, and it's got got me with my fucking eyebrow raised. Can you see that shit? Alright, now, let's continue. I'm gonna read this and let's get on out. Hey, she even says the word super fights in this. I wonder what she says. I have fought 4 consecutive fights against girls that have come up from 135 pounds to fight me because they were super fights for the fans. Besides Lena Landsberg, I fought her at 140. None of these girls had been fighting at welterweight. Wow, she's just digging herself a deeper hole as far as I'm concerned, and tell me if I'm wrong. What are you talking about? Holly Holm, yeah, she had fought at 135 pounds, but she also has fought at featherweight. She says none of these girls had been fighting at featherweight. Holly Holm's lost before her win, before Betch Correia, so it went Jermaine Durandamy, Betch Correia, Cris Cyborg. So the Jermaine Durandamy fight was at 145 pounds. So if you scratch the Betch Correia fight, which was a win, Holly Holm has been fighting at 145 pounds. She's fought there before. And if you're talking about all of these other fights are super fights for the fans, I would disagree. We didn't call up Tanya Evinger because it was a super fight. She came from the Invicta. She was a dope fighter, but a lot of people didn't know who she was coming into the fight, especially casual fans. Holly Holm, that's a super fight, but she's also a legit featherweight as far as she's fought there before, and she didn't, it ain't like you just ran through Holly Holm. I mean, don't get she lasted. She's first one to make Cyborg bleed. And if Holly Holm's the first one to make Cyborg bleed, Amanda Nunes might be the first one to sit Cyborg down. That's what I'm saying. So all of this is good and all, but these weren't super fights. What Cris Cyborg is saying right here, this super fights word, no, a super fight is champion versus champion. A super fight is Holly Holm versus Cris Cyborg. But Tanya Evinger, Lena Landsberg, those aren't super fights. Those are just people willing to fight Cyborg. Those are just people getting walked down the fucking aisle to fight Cyborg. You know what I'm saying? As far as the casual fan is concerned, when you see Holly Holm, you're like, yo, that's pretty legitimate. When you see Amanda Nunes, I'm like, yo, I need to see this. But Cris Cyborg doesn't want to fight. So that's why my eyebrows raised. I would never say Cris Cyborg is scared of somebody, but it's just interesting, and maybe she's ducking Amanda Nunes for whatever reason, but it's just interesting. The most talented fighter Cris Cyborg will have ever fought. Cris Cyborg doesn't want to fight. That's all I'm saying. Now let's read this last fucking paragraph before I get out of here. As a world champion, it is important the fact that you face a #1 contender. That is what makes the sport and not entertainment. Otherwise, what are the girls fighting at 145 pounds training to work towards if they know they will never be given a title shot if they become the best in the world? I have a responsibility to the sport to ensure that when I retire, the 145 pound division continues to exist, and it is because of that I want my next fight to be against a contender from featherweight division that has fought at 145 pounds within the last year. So she's saying it has to be somebody that's fought it. That's the Demetrius Johnson comparison where, you know, it's got to be somebody that's fought against, you know, I want him to have to fight a featherweight before they fight me. You know, if Amanda Nunes beats a featherweight, then we can talk about it. But yeah, even in that third paragraph didn't save it for me. I'm still feeling the same way. I mean, who is there? The UFC, tell that to the UFC. And you know what? I'm just going to say this before I get out of here. I've said enough on this video. All I'm saying, as a fan, as a huge fan of Cris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes, and I do got a joke to get off before the end of this video, but one more bantamweight, and this is the best bantamweight on the planet. You know, everything you just said in this fucking diatribe, this 3-paragraph essay, everything you just said, you can prove with one last fight. This is the best bantamweight on the planet. There's no arguing. There's no second contender. There's nobody. She just beat Valentina Shevchenko. There's no one else that you look at like a challenge for Amanda Nunes. Not in any other organization. There's no one in Bellator. There's nobody in Invicta. And there's nobody in the UFC at 135 pounds that can beat Amanda Nunes. So if you can beat Amanda Nunes, you're letting the world know. Check this out. No more of this bantamweight shit. I am the featherweight queen. There's not a bantamweight on the... If Amanda Nunes can't beat me, none of them can. So don't even approach me with any more 135-pound fights. You can prove all of that just by beating Amanda Nunes. But it's looking like she'd rather just say, nah. But anyways, alright. So you guys get the point. I can't really rock with this. I'm a huge fan of Cris Cyborg, but yo, this is kind of interesting to me. You can't make this shit up. Cris Cyborg ducking an opponent? Who the fuck would have thought? And on this article, it says that Cris Cyborg has said in the past she would fight whoever the UFC put in front of her. looking like anybody but Amanda Nunes. Now, I gotta get this fucking joint off the screen because I have to say, this is my little joke before the end of the video. I do have to say, Amanda Nunes, I don't care what video it is, bro. The last Cris Cyborg Amanda Nunes video, you can go check it out. Any thumbnail, just Google Amanda Nunes Cris Cyborg. You cannot tell me Amanda Nunes has never looked more beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Just, it is what it is. That's a fact. I wanted to say that on the last video. Like, I thought, okay, maybe somebody making these thumbnails is joking and just like putting their best picture, her best picture up versus one of Cris Cyborg's worst pictures. And it's like, no, that's pretty much every thumbnail, bro. So all I'm saying is, that's my joke for the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Amanda Nunes has never looked so good. Look at her, yo. Hey, Amanda Nunes, what's up? Hit me. No, I'm just fucking around. She's got a girl. It is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you tell me in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G.